Honestly, I think the jab is going to be an annoying. It's going to be an annoying um, obstacle for Chimaev to try and get in on, but also the way Strickland raises his knee to throw those teeps, and he raises that knee and then jabs you at the same time. So I think that raising of his knee might be a deterrent for Chimaev shooting in freely. Like I can, if Chimaev times it wrong, he's going to go straight into a knee, and no matter who you are, that's going to hurt, right? So I think those.
Robert Whittaker looked Khamzat Chimaev in the eyes, believed he was ready, believed the preparation was enough, and then got submitted in the first round anyway. That's the brutal reality of fighting the most dominant wrestler in the middleweight division right now. And on May 9th in Newark, Sean Strickland is about to walk into that exact same storm. Now here's what makes this fight so fascinating. Strickland isn't going in blind. He's watched the tape. He knows what Chimaev does. He knows the wrestling is coming. He knows the pressure is coming. And he knows that once Khamzat gets his hands on you and drags you to the floor, the fight is essentially over. Strickland knows all of this. The only question that actually matters, is whether knowing it is enough to survive it. And the man best placed to answer that question is Robert Whittaker himself. Because he's been there. He stood in that cage, fully prepared, with a game plan, with a team behind him, with every scenario mapped out, and Chimaev still broke through all of it like it wasn't even there. Whittaker didn't just lose that fight. He got submitted in round one. The guy who had defended the middleweight title multiple times, the guy who had been in wars with the best fighters on the planet, got finished by Khamzat Chimaev before the fight even had a chance to breathe. So when Whittaker speaks about what Strickland needs to do on Saturday night, you have to listen. This isn't a commentator guessing from the outside. This is a man who has felt what Chimaev's wrestling actually feels like when it's being applied to your body in a real fight, under real pressure, with the lights on and the crowd roaring. That experience gives Whittaker's analysis a weight that nobody else's has right now. And what Whittaker is saying is not encouraging for Strickland fans. He's made it very clear that he does not believe Sean Strickland's wrestling defense is going to be the answer here. Not even close. Now, to be fair to Strickland, he does have a reputation for being difficult to take down and hold down. He's been in the cage with some very good wrestlers throughout his UFC career, and he's managed to stay on his feet more often than people expect. But here's the thing that Whittaker is pointing to. None of Strickland's UFC opponents have ever actually attempted to submit him. Think about that for a second. In his entire UFC run, nobody has gone to the mat with Sean Strickland and tried to finish him there. That changes on Saturday night. That changes the moment Chimaev decides to shoot. Whittaker even brought up the Dricus Du Plessis fight as a reference point, and it's a telling one. Du Plessis, a very capable grappler in his own right, was able to take Strickland down multiple times during their championship bout. And Whittaker's point was simple and devastating. Khamzat Chimaev is a significantly better wrestler than Dricus Du Plessis. If Du Plessis could put Strickland on the mat repeatedly, what does that mean for what Chimaev is capable of doing? The math is uncomfortable if you're rooting for Strickland. But here's where it gets really interesting, because Whittaker isn't just saying Strickland is going to lose. He's actually laying out what he thinks the path to victory looks like, or at least what the path to keeping this fight competitive looks like. And it's not about out-wrestling Chimaev. It's not about having better jiu-jitsu. It's something more psychological than that. Whittaker believes the only way to neutralize Chimaev is to make him hesitant, to make him reluctant to pull the trigger on the takedown in the first place. You can't beat him on the ground, so you have to create enough doubt, enough risk, enough danger in his mind that he starts second-guessing whether shooting is worth it. You have to build obstacles, real ones, sharp ones, that make the reward seem smaller than the risk. Now, that is easier said than done. Significantly easier said than done. Because Chimaev's entire identity as a fighter is built around that wrestling formula. It's what he's done from day one in the UFC. It's the blueprint that has worked against literally every single opponent he's ever faced at this level. He has never been stopped. He has never been truly threatened. And he has never, not once, been made to feel like abandoning his game plan was the smart play. So telling Strickland to make Chimaev hesitant sounds great in theory, but you're essentially asking Sean to rewrite a pattern of behavior that has been ingrained in Khamzat since before he ever set foot inside a UFC octagon. And this brings us back to that Whittaker quote that should sit in the back of every Strickland supporter's mind heading into fight night. He said it plainly, almost painfully honestly. You can prepare and expect things as much as you want, but all the preparation they did, all the scenarios they mapped out, all the drills and the sparring and the game planning, none of it was enough. Chimaev was just better than the preparation. Not better than the game plan. Better than the preparation itself. There's a difference, and it's a significant one. A game plan can be adjusted in the moment. Being better than someone's preparation means that before the fight even started, the outcome was already being shaped. That's the challenge Sean Strickland is walking into on May 9th. Now, to Strickland's credit, he is not the kind of fighter who gets rattled by expectations. He is one of the most mentally durable competitors in the sport. He doesn't fight scared, he doesn't fight hesitant, and he doesn't crumble under pressure. When things get hard inside the cage, Strickland tends to get cleaner, not worse. His boxing is sharp, his timing is sharp, and if he can keep this fight standing, he absolutely has the tools to hurt Chimaev and make rounds competitive. But Chimaev isn't going to let him keep it standing. That's the whole problem. That's been the whole problem for every single middleweight who has stood across from him. The style that Chimaev brings, relentless forward pressure, elite-level wrestling shot from anywhere, the ability to grind and smother and control, doesn't just beat you physically, it breaks your game plan before you even get a chance to execute it. Strickland wants a boxing match. Chimaev wants a wrestling match. And historically, when those two desires collide, it's the wrestler who gets what he wants. What Strickland needs more than anything on Saturday is an early moment. A moment where he lands something clean and sharp, and it gives Chimaev reason to pause. If he can make Khamzat feel genuine danger on the feet, not just a jab here or a counter there, but real danger, the kind that makes a fighter's instincts tell him to slow down, then maybe, just maybe, he can introduce that hesitation Whittaker is talking about. Maybe he can make Chimaev weigh the risk differently than he has in every fight before this one. But if the first 2 minutes of round one look anything like the first 2 minutes of the Whittaker fight, if Chimaev comes out, establishes his pressure, and drags Strickland into the grappling game, then this fight could be over very quickly. And not because Strickland isn't tough enough, not because he hasn't prepared, but because, as Whittaker found out firsthand, Khamzat Chimaev has a way of being better than your preparation, no matter how good that preparation is. The Prudential Center in Newark is going to be electric on May 9th. The middleweight title is on the line. An undefeated champion against a former champion who thrives in chaos. And somewhere in the background, Robert Whittaker, the man who already felt this, is watching, knowing exactly what's coming, knowing exactly what Strickland is going to need to do, and knowing better than anyone how brutally difficult it's going to be to actually do it. That's the fight. That's the story. And we find out how it ends on Saturday night.